Exe.
Eta.
Yini bakushaya nge-load shedding?
No, yazi ngiyacheka nje, ngiyacheka ukuthi iyeza or ayizi or kwenzakalani.
Oh, this looks cool or not? Hey, nice one, guys. We are in for a nice one for that was.
But kwenzakalani? Oh, no.
Shayla
This is my
uzosibambela amakhili.
no,
Onjani?
no, angigrande ne?
Yeah, no, all good, man.
I just wanna
Ukhathale.
check if I'm not bleeding. No
If you're not,
khathala zokukhathaza. If I'm not bleeding, my daughter was busy with me right now. But
oh,
I always just whatever she does to me, I do it back at her, and I say, "You see what it feels like."
yeah. How old is she?
She's 2 years old,
Two.
but she
Oh,
knows everything she's doing. She knows
yeah,
everything she's doing. You know.
yeah, yeah. No, man. Thank you. Thanks for accepting my invitation. Whenever I'm hosting a guest on a family, I always say thanks to your family too, because I'm cutting into family time right now. So much appreciated,
Yeah.
to the queen, and the princess. Bayingaki abantwana endlini bani?
Right now there's only one. The one is in the States, and the other one is with his biological mother.
Okay,
So
nice, nice.
yeah, so we just have the one, the youngest one right now. Who's
Yeah,
literally like giving us fire and flames.
yeah, ne? Yeah, mina ngizofaka i-disclaimer. I've got my 12-year-old daughter and my 6-year-old son. In case there's a commotion at some point, and then I've got my dog sitting behind me. He might show his tail at some point. Mangiloku busy. So sihlala sibuya, but hey, life is not. We plan for life, but izinto ziyayenzeka. So um,
Mfana yabona abantwana God gives you izinjury amsukele. Uyazisukela. I've got children from God. I ain't gonna buy a dog nje from emhlabeni. I got enough.
yeah, I get you. I get you. No, anyway, without further ado, just I'm curious to know, and I think a lot of people that are watching. As always, thanks guys for joining us. Much appreciated. I still don't know what's the hot thing on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Whether on Showmax or whatever that you guys watch, our TV programs on. But you're here with us anyway. Thanks for that.
It's the
Um,
wife.
you know, why is it the wife? It was 7 p.m.
Well, I
Why?
mean,
Why
I
is
mean,
it?
it's
Yeah.
on demand. So, but I think the episode
Yeah.
comes out today. I think.
Oh, snap!
Mm.
I must catch up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, Obadu Siyabonga, I think a lot of us know you by Slikour, but I'm here talking to Siyabonga Fanda. And I think this is the person that we want to remove our layers, understand the grand, where you come from, what you've been up to, but mainly in terms of your background, childhood, family, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, look, from me, I'm from a. Say what? Can you hear me?
Sorry, before Upendula, I'm a root host. If you want to have a drink, you can. I forgot to tell you. Like, it can be tea, coffee, water, or whatever you prefer. So it's easy here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, today ilanga le Uber Eats, akunamuntu bambibhoda namhlanje. So I think my food is coming in at like 8 minutes. So if they
No,
don't get
no.
it for me, if they don't get it for me, because he tools down completely. Even if it is good as a Uber, mele kube yimi engilandayo. So if they don't get it for me, I might just need to go get it out there. Today is a tools down. My wife is utula down namhlanje. Okay.
uh,
You know, so I might just step out when I hear the buzzer to go get my
no,
food.
that's cool. Yeah, yeah. Back to Siyabonga.
Yeah, I mean, I think from Mina, I was born like a Natal Straight Hospital, from the East
Yeah.
End. My father's from a Bushbuck village in Mpumalanga. My mother's from KwaZulu Natal, so it's a Shazulu combination, you know,
Mm,
meaning Shangan and Zulu combination, Shazulu combination. I am a mix of those, so ngikalati elinjalo, you know, um,
yeah.
and yeah, I grew up in the city. I'm the only kid in my family that literally like was born in the city. Everyone else
Yeah.
was either respectively born in Mpumalanga, meaning Bushbuck Ridge, or in
Yeah.
KwaZulu Natal. So I definitely am the city slicker in my family.
Mm,
So the name literally already had some resonance. Um,
so, so,
and I think that, like, you know, I mean, I don't like I think I'm lost in every day that I get, and I'm grateful that I'm lost, and I have to work to find myself. So it's always
yeah.
difficult. It's just that people box you in what they see you or know you from. But
Mm,
truthfully, every day is an opportunity to get lost and find yourself, and at least
mm,
find a piece of
mm,
something that makes you want to go get lost for another day, and keep
mm,
digging deeper, you know. So I wouldn't define myself in any way except that, like, I'm a guy who enjoys being lost, and that's
sure.
like lost in the passion, you know, and in life, you know,
Yeah.
and learning, you know.
Well, that's really dope. Look, I like the you've already given us the background to the name Slikour, and which is really dope.
No, but
Um.
that's not where the name came from.
Oh wow.
But they
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It actually came
You
from.
can really tell it.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
already
given to
buying.
me. It was given to me, Milliondale, where I grew up in the basketball court. They used to call me Slicker because being
Mm,
like with my parents' disapproval, particularly my father, they never understood Gutini SK in zamantombazane, as they would say. So because I knew they were not going to pay it, I went and bought my own stuff to make my own S-curl. I don't think guys do S-curls nowadays anymore. Guys
no.
don't do that type of grooming anymore. The grooming is something else. So to now, you know, back then,
Yeah.
Masha SK, you know, Keith Sweat shit, you know. I just do it myself, put on a lot of gel, and
Yeah.
and then the basketball they'd call me Slicker. So that was back
Oh,
then when men used to groom themselves
sure.
and you know, spend a couple of hours in front of a mirror
Yeah.
like us sisters.
Nice. 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 So you grew up. Your 90s was spent Israel, I assume, or which part of which part of
Yeah,
the Israel?
I mean, I'm Kulele Katlong and then my teenage years were in Leondale, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm from.
Oh, that's cool. I had some friends at Leondale, but I don't think Senkotlela Magamo about he's exposing myself. No, it was a guy called Ukoli, but then I'm Shali Ramdangao. And the guy called him Kululero Ndamase. Big up Kululero. No, that's very
This is you
inspiring.
confessing that you're a bad friend, but shout out to you.
Well, now when I'm sure now they like on TV or whatever, some of what I'm busy, like we kubabona kude or we internet.
Mhm, mhm.
So tell me, Joe, like your early days, ne? Or maybe before I get into that, did you do your schooling that side of the world also, did you do your high school and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, in St. Benedict's College, you know,
Yeah.
during apartheid days, and as soon as Nelson Mandela came out and government schools opened up for black people.
mm,
The guys were paying my bursary because it wasn't my parents that were paying for me to be at St. Benedict's. There were people who were paying, helping
mm,
us. I never even knew at the time that my parents had gotten people to assist us to go to a private school. Um,
mm,
so as soon as like government schools opened up for every black kid, my parents never wasted time. Well, went fast, you know, got out the private school,
yeah,
and it was something that they could obviously afford at the time. So I went
yeah.
to a school called Donview High School, and I spent my rest of my high school years in Donview High School, but I think my primary school years were at St. Benedict's College.
Okay, all right, that's cool. There's something also you touched on. So we will just walk through it. And it's something that I've seen with prominent figures, whether in the creative space or whatever that someone is known for the most, which is with that box. So, people know you as Slikour doing hip hop, and that's kind of like what they know, and they probably want to engage with you in that sense. But
Of course.
um, the reason for tonight's interview is obviously for us to know Siyabonga, and obviously we can't talk to Siyabonga without talking about Slikour.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
just take us through the journey from your whenever you started getting into when you were like this music thing, yeah, I feel, and particularly hip hop. I don't know if you've seen the movie Babies and Gonja, this hip hop movie about Tay Diggs. I'm exposing myself tonight. Tay Diggs and
Hustle, was it called?
the hip hop.
Hustle.
Who knows if the most stuff is the
Yeah, it's an old movie. Yeah, Hustle and Flow.
Love and Basketball.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. There's a couple of movies like that back then.
Ne? There's a line there, kule movie, like, which, when did you first fall in love with hip hop? By Shaya is
Mm.
poet, and they talk about hip hop in the feminine. So I think, can you take us through your journey, from when you started and yeah, to squatter camp days?
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't. I think music was what I really was what found me. I could identify myself through the Michael Jackson songs. When I was 7 years old, I knew that this is a guy I wanted to be like. Michael Jackson. That is, I had the T-shirt. I'd
Yeah.
do the moves. Um, but growing up, then you find this. I was a little bit of a rebel also schooling. In a multiracial. Remember, there's two or three black people in a class at the time that I was going to a multiracial school, if not one. Um, so I was going to a multiracial school at a time where um, it was like non-conventional, and 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 also like acclimatizing to the culture of growing up with kids Elukshin versus like white kids where Elukshin is so cabana, slali karat, stripan, slala fraud and cheat, and this is where I got my scar from. This lala
Oh,
fraud, and someone literally tripped me and I fell, and it's stooping on the edge,
yeah.
and you cry or you go to hospital. Your parents but they don't go. Don't play with them again. It's just like nyakanga, it ends there.
Mm,
You do that to a white person at a time. Plus, you black, and black people have just. I mean, my principal hit me like I once got jacked by my principals, and he literally used the words, and I've never forgotten them. He said, "There is no black school for black children who are naughty." You know, which already, I mean, that's the principal, the headmaster. He's already jacking me, and each time he's hitting me, because back then you could be hit with like a cane. So they're like,
mm,
there is no black school for black children who are naughty. So already this guy, he's hitting me as he says each word, right? So I mean, I don't know. He could have literally hit me -2 if he never said black school and black children. You know, if he said black school, black children, if you remove the black, I would have been hit 2 times less, But
Yeah,
it
sure.
wasn't a case of there is no school for children who are naughty. It had to be black. So you
Wow.
understand, even at that time, you know, the open kind of you better be grateful you here, you black bastard, is there,
Yeah.
but you in standard one, you don't know that. But I've never forgotten that, and I forget a lot of things. So already
Mm,
that already tells you the space that I was in. So
mm.
with that being said, I believe my food is there. With that being said, um, I was let me just check quickly, please. Oh, sharp. With that being said, I was in a situation where I would sorry.
No stress.
So see, now I'm gonna lose my train of thought. I
No,
hope you never forgot the question.
no, I didn't. You're telling us about the headmaster.
Yeah, yeah. So even at then, it was a total cultural shock to be in an environment like that where when you were in trouble, you were reminded that you are black. You weren't a naughty child, you were a black naughty child. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of my baby, my baby. No. That's the kind of naughty. That's the kind of kind of like how you grew up, from a school
Oh,
perspective. So,
yeah.
baby girl, my daughter be out here trying to mess up the spike here. Baby girl, sorry, I'm trying to. Nah, mm-mm. Yabang
Yeah, that's all right.
out here trying to mess the scooter up.
Hey, they will humble us, guys.
Come, let's go, mama. Come, let's go. Oh Lord.
Mm,
Okay, you ready? Okay, stand up now. Stand up. How? My bro, do you mind driving out? Because I'm on a call and I'm waiting for you so I can close, please. Thank you. Enjoy your evening too. Thank you.
cheers to all the parents that are watching us and parenting guys. I will drink to that.
Yeah. There's that song that says to be loved, to be loved. That's
Yeah,
what kids give you. Kids give you that love. To be
yeah.
loved. To be loved. It's an incredible love. It's an incredible love. If you're
Oh,
not with your kids and you're not taking care of your kids, you're really missing out on the realest part of
true
life.
that. I had like,
Okay, my baby, you go live your life.
yeah.
No, man, go live your life. I gotta live mine. All right, babe. I'm out. Goodbye. No, no, no. Okay, hold. That's funny. Oh,
Mm,
sorry, I just really.
no stress, no stress. It's kind of a creeps at the same time, like like senza senza ito at the Metanis uh Siyabuya manje, guys. Don't
Ma,
mind us.
mommy's here. Okay, okay, no.
But yeah, parenting never stops, eh? Now 24/7.
No, I got it. Cool. Apologize for that.
So sharp.
Mm.
Ngathi ufrizile la.
Hello,
Iframe yakho ifrizi. I
me.
can hear. Yeah.
Must I restart? What must I do?
Um, Let me do this. Just hang on. Ngizokuremove ngikufake back, ne?
Okay, sure.
Let me just do this. Don't drop. Uh, okay, back to stream.
Cool.
Mm-mm.
Can you see me now?
I
Can you
same
see me now?
setup. No,
Okay.
no,
Let,
I
let
can hear
me
you.
let me log let me log out and
Okay,
come back.
cool. All right. Okay. Okay. Sorry for that, guys. But the great thing about this stream is it's not all about uh, showcasing perfection, top billing vibes. It's just all about come as you are. you know, you know how people listen to it, but come as you are with your sins, and if your sin has a cream and a cherry on top. Ngiyadlala. Bazongishaya abazalwane manje. Yeah, now is cool. Okay, we are back. Cool.
All right.
Uh,
Perfect. Perfect.
okay, much. Yeah, man. No, thanks for that. Yeah. Um, yeah. So you were talking about the headmaster. You couldn't do wrong without being a black child, or you couldn't just be a naughty child, but a naughty or ill-behaved black child.
Black child.
Hey,
Of course. Of course.
yeah,
So this is the space that we come from.
yeah,
Life and know what color you are and think about
sure.
life and think about your race without you actually looking at life and just appreciating it for what it is, without any filter
Yeah,
of your race because when you kind of start putting in your race, you start putting like limitations that they put on your race, and it's difficult for your mind not to allow thinking to happen without it influencing a little bit of your output and a little bit of your thinking. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, that's really sad. I think I don't remember the source, but I have come across a number of links as Kuruma about how early, basically the black of all children, but they were comparing black and white kids in this case. Abantwana babodaki tend to learn about race or what color they are much earlier in comparison to their peers as abongaml. So my 5 year old, my 6 year old, sega conscious to these things because it's either I've had to prepare them based on the world that we live in, or there's been some experience. So for instance, my last born is 5, so I think he was about maybe 3 when he went. Avayane only like they go to the shops. This old white guy, he was young actually. He was about 2. So Ubona, cute, chubby, black kid. But ukuteketisa ngokumbiza Tsotsi, So so he's like, "Hi, Tsotsi." like it's messed up. I'm laughing now, but I'm like, hey, Tsotsi, it's so cute. I was not there. I was told this story, and she was like, she flipped and like, do you understand now? go back and tell my 2-year-old to you know, I'll see it. So it's that person who's and this is the world that we live in. So hey, yeah, I mean, to be black. So hip hop, how did you then? So I get the music part in terms of you know like via Michael Jackson and just music in general. But at what point do you like you know does your ear get tickled with I feel like I didn't learn and to the point that you get pulled or sucked into it to the extent that
It
you did.
I mean, it found me. It found me. I never, like I said, it's with Michael Jackson. It was just so great. Remember also, when I was talking about the high school thing, what I was trying to link to is that in the 80s, early 90s, remember this before 94 even, um, black people are doing every other job that you as a kid don't ever want to do. you know
Mm,
your mother's a nurse, I'm a taxi driver. It's like working at picking. It's not like all the cool things are being done by people that are white, or black Americans. So when I see
mm,
Michael Jackson like that, he's like a black guy, and I get disappointed when he plastic surgeries and it becomes white. So I see him and he's
mm.
like a black guy, and I'm like, yo, can black people be this cool?
Wow.
Then I see MC Hammer. Then I'm like, oh shit, look at this black guy. I've never seen a black guy like this. Plus une is killing number specs. Okay, ngiyabona abo kids sweat mara bahlale bakhala. This guy is dancing, it looks like so funny, so cool.
Yeah,
And now going back to the context of my primary school years, then I hear like Ice-T, I hear Public Enemy, Power to the People, Fight the Power. I start hearing all these like songs about like black consciousness, about just like the importance of black people, and that just like strikes something inside me, like, oh my gosh, I've never these black guys like these black guys literally are saying they're important. I've never heard black guys speak like this.
yeah,
Not around me, my peers, or my aspirations, around the black people I grew up around. So I'm like, whoa, man, this is incredible. The media doesn't even show black people like this. I mean, still
yeah,
SABC apartheid. So rap literally becomes these black guys that I've never seen before, who are questioning the system. And you can imagine, I just used that example where I was being jacked by my principal and the things that he was saying. And when I kind of mix that, now, I've got the privilege, because for another kid who studied in the township, they're not really affected by that racial kind of, but like I am. But like I have to be here. So, it's almost like
mm,
my life started, the conflict that every person is, even in corporate, where you're like, I know that like these guys are not really for me, or I know that this affirmative action, or I know they're doing it so they can get their score points, but anyway, I have to
mm,
be here. For me, that started from the 80s. I mean, I have to be
yeah,
here. So when I hear this Public Enemy, and these black guys who are just so confident, sure of themselves, I just get riled up, and I'm like, this is what I want to be. And
yeah,
I start collecting it, and then I start writing myself. And I never knew that rappers write. I used to just freestyle the things that were in my head, till I met a guy
wow,
who showed me his script, and he's like, yo, you gotta write it. I mean, geez, like you've got all this stuff in your head, in your memory. I said, yeah, I got it in my
yeah,
memory. It just goes. Then I started
yeah,
learning how to write, in Don't View, because my whole primary school life I was just freestyling through. Um,
mm,
and that really is where it started. I mean, it gave me a sense of importance. It gave me a sense of validation, a sense of self-love, and um
mm,
and when I saw these guys, I mean, till this day, it's like when Dre was selling beats, it's like I had this joy when he got that billion. I had this joy, like I know him. So these guys were like, and he was also part of my foundation when he was with in the behind black guys, and
mm,
because I feel that they represent me also, you know.
yeah,
So I think hip I was more caught by being represented and by seeing black people, because I can't get rid of my blackness, you know. So
yeah, yeah.
I resonated to black people doing well, and you know, when you look at the work we do with Slick on Life, it's really stuck to me, because Slick on Life
Mm,
is really about younger artists that are doing well, where we want to celebrate them. Um, and I just love seeing us progressing, not because it's just the black things, because we are citizens of the world like every other race, you know. And when we
mm, mm,
collaborate with every other race with our excellence, you know, we add value and we make the world better also. So I just feel that like
mm.
we need, as a collective, collective excellences is what we should be looking for, and not just what we call black excellence, you know.
Dope, man. Dope. So the work that you're doing basically currently is you demonstrating what it looks like when we create our own and drive a narrative about our stories, right?
Of course.
As opposed to waiting for somebody else outside of us to come and document, what Umzu is doing through BrownSense, what Slikour is doing, Sia is doing through SlikourOnLife, etc.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
here's a platform, built it, and you've been documenting Uguti. Look, you've done the work yourself, but there's other people that are black also that are super talented, and ubagaya Leo platform layer to shine basically. But
Yeah, I
also for
mean,
the next, yeah,
yes, yeah. Even if I'm not, I'm a little bit more removed now. I'm
yeah,
doing other things, but there wasn't a job like Slick on Life, you know, when before Slick on Life. You're either going to work for Media 24, you're going to work for somebody else. But the fact that like my big criteria is, do you love the music? You know, do you love the people that create the
yeah,
music? You don't see yourself as a competitor. And then we create vacancies, and you get young guys who still in the streets, who literally want it. So now,
yeah,
it's a job for someone else who loves it, versus just like my idea of caring. So I always say that like love is contagious. You got to teach people how to love, right? Especially
mm,
loving themselves and loving their community. So if you could see Slick on Life is built on loving myself and loving my community. When I start hiring someone, because I've set that example, they start walking that. When someone literally builds a platform that competes with mine, or that's a replica of mine, they build it off the love, if they're doing it for the right reason, right? So we teach love through the things we build, you know what I mean?
so,
And that's why we are in a situation where everything of ours is about money, and nothing of ours, and things don't get successful because you want to inherit things from the world or from global companies,
mm,
which were probably built off love. Even if they hated black people, they love their own people. So we want to
so,
inherit everything. We want to inherit everything, because we're
mm,
black, because we're entitled, because it's affirmative action. But the best example I could use of that inheritance, it's like, this song, I forgot who sings it now, but it's a long time ago. It was two guys that sang it. The song would go, "We go from sea to tree, me and my people building." You know that
mm.
song?
I qhubeka icule.
Now the thing, but the words are saying, we go from
Yeah,
seed to tree, me and my people building. So we go from
yeah,
seed to tree, me and my people building. Mklambi, you weren't born, but it's okay. So the reality of that song is that, like, um
yeah,
what we when we inherit things from the world, we literally going from tree and not from seed. And that's the biggest
mm,
thing about like South Africans or even Africans, is that things come from the world, whether it's bricks, whether it's the West, and we get them as a tree, and then we
mm,
assume what the seed is like. and then
mm,
we wanna speak like we wanna represent the seed with so much pride, but we don't even know what the seed looks like, you know. And
wow.
the seed is where the love is, you know. So we catch things from the tree, and the last line it goes, me and my people building. So you realize when you catch it from the tree, what do you start building? You start building that global company because you caught it from the tree. You're not building it from the seed, you know. So
Mm,
my concept about being black today is that don't think that you are when a company comes globally as a tree, that's a well-established company. Like Uber is a tree, you know what I mean? If
mm,
you're an Uber driver, you know you are building, you know, for them, right? Um, but like we cannot fight for Uber as if like it was our seed. We have to say we are building. We're not part of the building, you know. We literally like we like the windows,
yeah,
right? So until black people, particularly
yeah,
today, understand that every small business and every new idea and everything that literally like is difficult is because we are seeds. We are not the trees yet. So we want to
yeah,
carry ourselves like the trees. And as a side note, you could still make a lot of money and still be a tree. You know what I mean? You could be like I say like it's I don't know. I can't speak on a guy like Patrice. I don't know. But when I look at a lot of guys who are making who are doing the mine who have a lot of money from the mining stuff or have like McDonald's shares or have that, it looks like it's people who literally caught the tree. So it doesn't mean that you don't have money when you have the tree. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that there's no seed. That's why people cannot love it. That's why people don't feel like they belong in it. That's why people will literally break it down and strike and do whatever they need to do because they were never the seed. Do you know what I mean? So if you look at our
mm,
economy and the black people that own it, it's like people who caught a tree and they are helping build the global footprint of something that is a seed in another country, and they just the African guys that are making it
yeah,
work. So that's a lot
yeah,
of how South Africa in South African entrepreneurism and South African black economy is being rated. It's rated on people picking up trees, not rated on people starting with seeds. That's why bazot bayahlanya mabayenza bomo fire, or when we start Slick on
mm,
Live, they're gonna go, Eish, mara yini lento leyo yenzayo, you understand? Because people the mind is not trained to see struggle, the mind to see struggle or to see like growth. In South Africa, the South African mind, I don't know if about the African mind is not trained to see like the struggle of building. They're only trained to receive to get it from a tree, you know.
sure.
And when it's a tree, they kind of go, okay, yeah, yabo manje
Sesiyaza
abona
manje.
manje sekufuna uBeyonce manje vanhu basifunela kuBeyonce sesiyasipana manje yabo
Yeah,
sesiyasipana. But no one goes and no one sees drip coming, no one sees bud to coming, but that's a seed. But the world is changing though.
mm,
It's beautiful because the world is changing. And Abo Sheldon and all these guys are showing these examples of seeds,
mm,
and the guys that are
mm,
building it are getting the trees, and that's why they'll fight for it. You know what I mean?
mm. Well, that's a really powerful way of I think the picture that you've painted. Um, because my last week's interview, we sort of touched on this, not the way that you put it, but in terms of people bear what you do, and without knowing the struggles behind it, without knowing the costs, and by cost I don't mean money only, right? The time that you sacrifice, the sleeping late, waking up early, taking a loss here and there, sacrificing family time, etc. Um, but muscle blower up and you're out there and shining and all that. That's the thing that they see, and it kind of looks easy to the human mind, as you say, that's not trained to understand the process. I think that's the thing in terms of the process. From building something, whether you build up from scratch or you got it from some other level, but just the process of building in itself and the patience, and I would dare say emotional intelligence as well, because a lot of the stuff that you said, Ekasi, Ekasi, as you said many years ago, ne? In that song that you got into trouble for with RJ Benjamin, obviously the artist, or Ripar. I don't know if you remember the song
Yeah.
that I'm talking about, and you that I was not active on Twitter back then, but I remember you got dragged, and there were radio shows, or people were calling you all sorts of things for what you said in that
Yeah,
song.
that was black. That was Blacks are Fools. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
And what's interesting though is so I'm coming with a 2.0,
yeah,
right? Of the song. You know what people don't know is that I've got my back catalog from Slick on like catalog because I'm not the one doing the distribution. So Slick on
yeah,
Live is going to start distribution. So I'm going to be distributing my own music, right? Like I've been distributing other people's music on all
nice.
streaming platforms. But I've got a song called Power, and just the words power literally have all these black companies that have been created by our generation, which turn over a
Mm,
billion per annum. All these black companies,
yeah,
that are created within our generation, and it's like popular culture. People don't even know that, but a billion, obviously, in the bigger scope of things, is not like crazy, but like still, these are black-owned companies. It's our generation. Whether you talk Mofire or Drip, whether you talk Batu, whether you talk like shit, Slick on Life, these are companies that are when you put them Nero, these are companies when you put them together, turning over a billion, Gemelli, etc., etc. So
mm,
the reality is that I've got a song called Power, and I played it for my son, like last week because he was with me and we were playing it, and he's pretty enlightened. Now, just to give context, I play the song and he's 11 years old. I play him the song and he's like, and I ask him, I'm always, Marilyn, I'm like, what do you think of the song? He goes, "No, but don't you think it's a little bit controversial, you know? And I'm
yeah,
like, well, this guy wasn't around when I did Blacks are Fools. And I'm trying to tell him that, the song is called Our Goals. Our goals is to get back our power. The song's not out yet, yeah? And build a economy, yabona manje seyangibaleka le gama lesilungu. So I explained that to him, and
yeah,
I'm glad I played it for him because I was going to release the song through Apple. I've got a playlist right now on Apple Music for Africa Month, so I was going to put it inside that playlist, and when my son said that, I was like, wait, actually, this shouldn't be received like Blacks are Fools. Anyone that has a
mm,
problem with this song has a problem with us progressing. So I've paused everything with regards to dropping the song, and I said, I'm actually going to drop it with the visuals. I'm going to show these black guys on camera. I'm going to
yeah,
do a music video for Power that's a PSA of black
yeah,
businesses. I
mm,
want to see who's going to play it. Meaning the
yeah,
visuals and the song. It's not controversial. It's really a song about empowerment. And also, I do want to talk about like there's nothing wrong with us saying that like I'm always having these arguments where like black people go, we don't have enough representation in this industry, in this business. But if you look at it globally, half of these companies are owned by white people, right?
mm,
And maybe we're asking the wrong questions if we're looking for representation. The thing that we should be asking is when are we building our own things? Because if the
mm,
West literally comes with all these global brands and our country decides to do deals with the BRICS, and then it's the Asians coming with global brands, that means your kids and my kids are going to go. But all the Asians have got their jobs and there's no representation for us. So you
yeah,
see, the cycle of talking about representation is never going to stop. What we need to start talking about is what are we building? That's why I said that we go from seed to tree, but we
mm,
complacent because we're on the tree. Because the tree
sure.
literally is still a lot of money. The tree is still something that you never dreamt you'll ever able be doing. You can still drive, have a big house. That's still the tree. You see, the illusion of the tree literally makes us blind to the fact that we are not planting any seeds. So whether you sitting here saying that brand is doing this, but why should that brand give you the job because you're black? Okay, you can do the job better,
Mm,
but you know what? They know each other better because they're from Europe or they're from the States or they. So you are coming here saying that just because you're black, you must break that relationship.
mm, mm,
I mean, ideally, it would be nice if they could be fair. If they fair, it would be nice, but they still don't owe us fairness because isn't Ozabo, all these brands, isn't Ozabo, that no black person has stopped and said, I ain't doing a Gucci, yeah, strike. Angithi
yeah,
just jaha uyozithenga lezi zinto lezi. So why aren't we addressing our people? So my thing is
sure.
that our thinking has to change to going, maybe we're asking the wrong questions. It's not about representation, it's about like planting a seed. So are we the generation that's going to be eating like the Ruperts? No, we're not. We're the generation that's going to be planting the seed. So our kids can say in 20 years, our kids literally, if your kid is friends with my kid and they literally go ngoba siyazana sama Africa mfana ngena la yazi labo ngama bazama
Mm,
ukupitcha lapha mara into yethu, then it's okay
mm,
yabona, because
mm,
we literally have the power to make that call. So my thing is
mm,
that if we keep on looking for representation, all it is just shifting power of whoever the country does it deal with, like globally, that's going to come with the products that we're going to buy like they're ours. You know what I mean? That black people are not stopping each other from saying, no, asateng la, so teng it prepare, sayekeli naye.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. And
So
nothing's
my
gonna
thing is
change.
that
Yeah.
so we asking the wrong questions and this is why this country we struggle because very smart people are asking the wrong questions. Very smart people are
Mm,
looking for like quick solutions. I go, you got agencies like what WPP and Abu Ban Ban Ban, and these guys have been building that thing for years. It's a fundamental human thing. It has nothing to do with race. If people build something from a seed to a tree and collectively they all know about it, it's their thing. So when you come with your idea and you go, you guys need to give me the business from this thing that you built from a seed to a tree. It's like they're going, okay, sisongena because we want to trade. Okay, sisongena
mm,
because we want to trade. How long can we keep on being given things as a favor? You know? And the only reason things are going to be given to us as a favor is because we're not doing ourselves the favor of actually saying, why don't I go to BrownSense to buy that service? Why doesn't BrownSense become the Shopify? Why doesn't that become the issue? Now you always have to always like tread carefully so you don't offend Abelung also at the same time, because Yiba who are giving you the door, who are opening the doors, because you know your people, even if they come in numbers, bazogcina ku Twitter or bazogcina bathi hampana kuzoba grand, you know.
that is bad. That's true. I mean, like, look what happened when there was that. I don't know if it was during lockdown or before. I think before the rage around was it one of the local. I think Take a Lot was one of them, but basically there was some outrage around some products or a picture that was being sold on their platform, and Babane protest, which inama racists, innuendos or whatever, take it off. What are you guys saying about what's happening in US around BLM and all of those things? I've got my own views about that conversation for another day around BLM, etc. But what you're touching on is we've been um, that's in programmed in such a way that we think fighting for fairness is the way to go about things. And in life is just never about that. For the fact that when we are born, we are not born on an equal level. Awukhethanga ukuthi uzovela kuphi, what color, what gender, what family background, all of those things. Zisuka nje from day one. Do you understand? The kind of
Yeah.
healthcare that
And,
pregnant woman gets is informed by race yakhe, social standing sakhe, where she stays, and all of those things. That affects a child as a fetus, basically. So, hey, yeah, why under to break thinking yakhe ndoda, break internet funda. So, but
no,
there's no other way
ngiyabangayanda. But
just to like,
but
yeah.
Jaba lento leyo show is that mina I'm always asking myself ukuthi why sihlale sifuna validation from people who don't look like us.
Mm,
And I'll be one to say first ukuthi mina validation from people who don't look like us. You see,
mm,
for me, even when you think about the whole marketing thing, it's crazy ukuthi wena ungahlala in a boardroom umuntu ongakutshela ukuthi uzokuthengisela into esona esona so ebantwini bakho akutshela ukuthi no leyo angeke isebenze. And
mm,
thina sohlala lapha and say no mara ngijunior, you know. You
mm,
understand ukuthi like once you have the money you can even tell a person that like no black people don't do that. So I'm
mm,
not gonna fight with you, you know. So for the money we also um allow ourselves to be misappropriate. We sit in these rooms and we go, okay, I got you.
mm,
I see you. You know what I mean? So it's a complex thing, and what the most scariest thing about it is that um this is why I want to say this. Black people are not as powerful as they think they are, or they don't act as powerful as they think they are. You know, they think that like I'm sorry, I keep going back to this. By the time you're a tree, you're a twig, bro. You're not even the branch. And if you have to
mm,
talk about the economy, that's the branch. The seed, that's the branch. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things, man, that we need to fix. But the first thing
mm,
is the mind state. You know,
mm,
you know how you get strong is when you acknowledge that you're weak, right? You don't get strong by always thinking you're strong. You got to know that you're weak because you got to work on. You got to figure out that okay, I'm weak here, so I got to work on this so I could be strong. But the thing about
mm,
us, Abantabamniam, is that we think seasons are across the board, you know,
mm,
and
mm, mm.
and that's how they've got us by
Yeah,
us thinking that we've got it figured out, you know,
yeah.
that false um concept of here we empowering that transformation, all that talk, you know, all that talk, all that talk goes back to who's transforming. Tabang fan, let me
Mm,
give you an example. Let me give you an example. So we as black people, we go through our forefathers, ancestors, one apartheid. Then mabacedilwela le apartheid ke, we the same people as it. Okay, ke, yini just transform. Think about it. You know,
yeah.
the company has to do some transformation. Who are they Kushukuthi, like we are still dependent on transfer. We are dependent. Even the word of empowerment, black
Yeah,
empowerment,
yeah.
sazoniga, son transformer. You know,
It's up.
so
It's up to
masin
them. Yeah.
masin transformers tola my point. You see all that? You see all that? Even the
It's really,
word, even the
yeah,
wording, in my view, is demeaning.
yeah,
But
it is.
if we think that we are getting something, we're gonna ignore it. We're gonna abani transformation, yabona mfana, black empowerment. Which could be that means we've never been empowered. That means that the whole fight that we had, literally, like my thing is that like there's a difference between empowerment and between like remove the gates so we can start working. Because all
Mm,
that racism was saying is that you guys can't work up to this point
mm,
because you don't have the knowledge, your brains are not big enough. That's what it is. So now we say no, our brains are big, so let's go start building our things. And maybe
yeah.
all you have to do is you guys need to do is just fund those things, and instead of you opening up your chain of like fast food chains, you guys need to bring in this money so we can start building these fast foods. Sifuna imali yenu kuphela ukuthi sakhe
Mm,
izinto zethu. Siyofundisa abantwana bethu eChina nase-Asia ukuthi mababuya baney'ngcondo zenu, ngoba manje masibaloku
mm,
sibafundisa lana esikhule khona, they're not experiencing the progressive, the economical progression, and they're not getting the guts to start something new. Because if our kids bafunda next to Silicon Valley, and you got 50 of them who literally like every day are seeing new inventors, bazofika lana
mm,
banaloka ukuthi asiqale, the mind starts
yeah,
shifting. And
yeah,
those 50 kids literally will probably employ like another 5,000 kids if literally like they things get successful, right? And those
yeah,
5,000 kids will inspire another 50,000 kids to believe that, no, mpana, we're gonna go build here. And when you tell them we're gonna
sure.
transform you and we're gonna empower you, they're gonna go like, what you mean you're gonna transform us, empower us? We're already empowered. You see what I mean? So all I'm just saying is that apartheid is literally saying that no, we never close the gate, guys. We never close the gate. It's literally so arrogant. It's saying we actually disempowered you. We actually never Who are you to disempower me when you came to my goddamn land?
Mm.
You know what I
Dr.
mean?
Yes,
You were
you're
just
preaching,
an animal.
you are preaching from the
Sorry.
Bible. Let me tell you something. Ne? Look, hey, Dr. Mina, I love reading a lot. Like, SKL, my thing was history and all that stuff. And there's a time when, yes, church background back then and whatever, but where I spent going through it by Bible, like as if Mfunda in novel, like from the first book to the last. But for some reason, my mind this week was stuck on the stories as a Garden of Eden. Sorry, bazalwane, ngizonifaka esontweni manje. So if you recall, ne, but God creates everything before he creates the human being. Day number
Mm,
6, was it day number 6? I might be wrong, but he creates man somewhere after he's created everything else. And then, but before I'm creator, Uti,
mm,
let's make man in our image and likeness. Ne? In our image and likeness. So if we are going to go with the text of what the Bible says, Utu God Uba, that's, and when he creates man, that's what he's creating. Ne? Replica yake. When the snake comes to Eve to tempt her to eat the fruit, it says, "Oh, God said you mustn't eat the fruit because usaba ukuthi you'll be like him." So what you're saying, that's gaslighting number one, Jesus Suga from the beginning. So what you're saying is that someone is coming to you to tell you that I'm here to empower you. Do you understand? And you don't realize Uchi grand, the thoughts that were going through my mind when I started the BrownSense was what would happen if for once, like just for once, we all agreed. Okay, maybe not all of us. Let's just say 50%, 60, 70%. We like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Bazalwane, we're not shopping, we're not going to buy wherever we buy our groceries. I see we groove, as a spend for God, like we're not spending a cent just for those 3 days, right? Just to see the impact that would happen for those 3 days that we grew up in the 80s where stay away was a thing. And there was a reason why stay away was a weapon that was used against the regime back then because it's the one way that you make someone feel momshaya with kwamasaki, which look, if you're not gonna change, share we pocket yako because we've been the ones that are upholding the same system as Tunezela. You understand? So we go back to them, Sibakai Maliet. No one is forcing us to do that. I can be working for the man, right? The man pays me, government takes their cut, but whatever is left after government takes their cut, and whoever that I owe money to, must with okay, Bzu, selling a 5K, whatever the amount is in a month. I'm the one who then decides, with okay, Lena is buy in from this one and that one and whatever. There's no law that says this is where you have to do it. But because of the way the mind has been programmed through years and years and years of repeated behavior, do you understand? I will do what I know and what is convenient. And obviously, we autopilot. I think that's the best way to put it. What do you think, Ndoda, of a and maybe this is me just trying to get you to talk about what else can be done. Ngiyabuzwa mawuthi the first step to becoming strong is admitting that you're weak or accepting that you're weak. Ne? In your view, what is then the next thing that one needs to do to say, okay, fine, Fanach, I realized I heard you guys talking about this. I realized that I'm weak, or for whatever other reason besides this interview tonight. You're weak, I've been weak for X number of years, right? How do I then start the journey, and where do I start? You're with, okay, now I want to empower myself in cooling, be strong, and be able to plug into these platforms that are already in place. I'll give you an example. I know I'm taking a bit long. So I've come across a number of discussions with social media where Twitter, Facebook, wherever, people talk about these things. Let's start a bank. Let's all come together and start a bank. Let's start a retail, whatever. Let's start a stockpile and do those things. And previously, my comment in those engagements would be, how about we find the ones that are already existing and that are doing this work and see with the siplaka in kanjani kuzo. Do you understand? Because the corner, that's the thing. I don't have to go and start something from scratch today because I want a black-owned bank. There's a number of them that have already done the work, but where do I start and find myself with Minangzo's Fagala, type thing. So my question to you, I've realized Uguti new week, where do I start? And I'm asking this being mindful, Uguti, our reality and the likelihood is that this ship needs to keep on moving, whether people are getting into it or not. Like it just needs to keep on moving. Ihamba nabahamba, and those who will catch up, they will catch up. If they don't catch up, then it's just unfortunate. What needs to be done, or what would you say to me, Uchi Mzu? Um, Maybe read a book, do whatever, invest in your that kind of a scenario. As I sip my wine. Yeah.
You know what? It's a collective conscious, it's a collective consciousness that's required because um from accepting that you're weak, I can't be the one that only sees that I'm weak, you know. So it's almost like a difficult thing to even answer because it's a series of events and a collective consciousness that lead to
Mm,
some type of progression. And it's also like a duration, it's 50, it's 100 years, I think that like personally, there's also what I love calling like iqiniso, like firstly you got to be honest and know where you are in the value chain, you know.
mm,
If you know where you are in the value chain, no matter what you're earning when your work environment or just with regards to the economy, if you know where you are in your value chain, you'll start understanding that you've achieved the growth in your personal capacity,
wow.
which is great. But then if you're also conscious of the community you represent, and the people you represent, you'll actually acknowledge that like success is not enough if it's only you in the room, you know.
Yeah,
Success is
yeah,
not enough if it's not inclusive. And
yeah.
immediately when you start thinking about inclusivity, that's when you're going to
Mm,
start seeing where the challenges are, you know. That's when you're going to see that like you might have worked hard and you might have been lucky at some places, you had been at the right place, you might have done that, yeah. But like
yeah.
when you look at it properly and you say if another 10 people took the steps that you took, would they probably be there also? And if your answer is
Sure.
no, especially if in a private company that literally is doing things based on a criteria or a ratio of race, if you say there can't be more 10 of they can't be 10 of us here, then you know that like then you know where you are in the ecosystem. You you've been fortunate and you're blessed and you've worked hard, but then if there can't be 10 of us, because if you see, I want to use this old school thing here, apartheid. When you had like five guys back then in apartheid, when you have five guys in a group speaking, and the cops would say, you guys are planning something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's been flipped around in corporate. You can't have five black guys who have like power inside a company that's literally like not, that's the global company or whatever. You can't have five black guys that
Mm.
literally have power and that all report to each other, because they might fuck shit up. They're gonna switch up the suppliers. They literally like it's gonna be difficult to basically like convince them with so how you do
Mm.
it, you tier black guys with regards to authority. So you get the black guy who's on the board who doesn't never gets involved, like he maybe contributes here because if it's a big but he hardly gets involved in the decisions. You get one black guy who's literally probably like in a senior role, but there's always like someone else that he has to bounce it to. There's a greater board of Abanyabantu in that board, that one black guy in the board. He's literally there's a majority of white guys in the board, right? And then you get the senior black guy who's like a manager of some sort, or CEO or whatever. But there's a CFO who literally like is the one who literally makes the call on like um finance or whatever decisions. And then you get the head of procurement or HR, whatever the case be, who could be like also white. Because if you've got like a black head of HR, a black CFO, a black CEO, and it's a
Mm.
white owned company, ebase masimbeni. Do you understand? You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden, like, like we're gonna do the right thing. So what you do, you
Yeah.
tier black power even in that space. But if you can acknowledge that you are in a tiered place of power, you must realize
Mm.
that that's where the problem lies. And that's where we kind of go. So this is why we literally need to go back to the seed. So my thing is that we got to do little things right now by going and supporting the black businesses, by going and getting ourselves involved in these black conversations and not feeling like, yo, I mean, like I said, I got a couple of white clients, but like I still need to have these conversations
Mm.
like without me worrying what is it going to make rub somebody else the wrong way. So
So,
all it is that like you got to know who you are in the greater system, because when you acknowledge who you are in the greater system and you really want to make a change, you're not going to move from that position. But what you're going to do, you're going to actually realize the importance of always feeding back into black if you get that opportunity. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So black power, so black ownership or black authority is even tiered, even in corporates, because if there's too many black people on the same level of decision making, um, go fucked up. You know what I mean? There'll be more
Mm.
black suppliers. And the real thing about these businesses is that these businesses like are ecosystems of, they might be selling you like the alcohol, but they also probably involved with the company that's actually doing the media, whether they're involved with it globally or whatever the case be. So
Yeah.
these relationships go way back. So I don't have
Mm.
an answer, but it's just like little things that we need to know
Yeah.
where we are, and we need to like be a little bit more respectful of people that are bold enough that are going to try, and we need to be
Yeah.
behind those people that are bold enough that are going to try, no matter what position we are in. And if they need support, we need to literally be there. We need to show up, because sometimes it's just a matter of us showing up. It's not like it's when people see numbers of us, they go, okay, nah, siyanizwa. You're not,
Yeah.
no one, not
So,
everybody was Winnie Mandela, not everybody was in jail, Nabo Nelson Mandela. No, not everybody, but we showed there were people who showed up who were rallying behind them also,
yeah.
in numbers, whether, however it was. So we need to literally be a little bit more um, supportive of ourselves, and we need to love ourselves a little bit more, and we need to be unashamedly proud of ideas, and instead of waiting for people to fail, because waiting for people to fail, we literally need to like go, yo, this is what's going to happen. And nothing ever happens from a tweet, everybody talking that shit with Twitter, ain't nothing gonna happen, you know what I mean? um
Mm,
and that's the reality. It's misinformed. People aren't consistent.
mm.
Even WhatsApp groups, ain't nothing gonna happen in a WhatsApp group, you know what I mean? Like just people just sometimes want to vent, but like when it's time for the event, be like, amafana sesicomplenile manje wayefuna strike kwamambela hayi uzongixolisa
Yeah,
emsebenzini.
it's fine.
You know what I mean?
True,
So black people want to vent.
true, true, true. I want to just read a few things, Dota, that you said along the same lines. That were very profound at Pro Kids Memorial. Ne? I think it was 2018. And I would like to use this to segue into the work that you're doing around the creative space, and what opportunities there are, for anyone that might be keen or interested to connect and plug into that. So just tell me if you can see it on the screen. It says
Yes.
Blokile. Man.
Yeah, I can.
So
Yeah.
just a few papers. I know that your speech was way longer than what we see, but I just picked these three. Obviously you were talking to the audience there, so I'll read it for the benefit of our audience. The first is, we need to teach actors and musicians that making money from your music doesn't mean you understand business or that you are in business. I have proof. How many artists who owned businesses from 2005 to now are still running and doing the same thing? None. We have got to teach creatives that the big R you need to always take care of is not rent, but the R for relationships. And that's what you've just mentioned now in terms of our relationships and building that. Don't ask why artists are dying poor when black people are dying poor, because they don't own shit. They don't work in companies that are owned or run by people who wear the same dust as them. They have no reason to be patriotic to that job unless it's for a check or a title. Dialogue cabanga sondo, and this is only 2018. And I mean, like, having listened to your primary school days, the seed got planted a long time ago. Um, what from your experience in this space, you know, before maybe you tell us Spani that you're doing, what would you say an artist needs to do as a collective? And I'm asking this because I'm a part of a group on Facebook. Sure, I'm changing a call. COVID brain, guys. But I'm part of a group on Facebook, Yama Artists, that is led by Usisi Uspongile Mngoma. Those who don't know her, she's the niece of the late Spongile Kumalo, sorry. And that's also been the group where a lot of issues around artists, especially during COVID, have been ventilated and all that. And I've kind of seen ukuthi like ngathi kunama-silos, but I'm not in that space. Having said that, I don't have the full appreciation of being on the ground with them or understanding their day-to-day struggles and all that. Is there anything that as a collective artist can do, understanding the industry artist would see, number one, like see a job where you get a guaranteed salary every month, the same amount with benefits, etc. That you would say, look, guys, this is maybe the way to start thinking about these things, and then these are the low hanging fruits, etc. To avoid, the same kind of situations where the minister where arts and minister, yeah, arts and culture and sports and so forth, showing face only when someone has passed away, just to pay respect to them and all that. But by then it's way too late. Do you understand? So uh, maybe to the more younger, upcoming, people in the industry, the sector, to say, these are the things that you need to look out for. Ama contracts that you guys get presented by are very exploitative, or nani anazi ukuthi kwenzakalani, and this is what you need to know, and get to empower yourselves with the information and the knowledge. But primarily, as you advance in your career, right? How do you protect yourself as an individual and a family yakho to make sure ukuthi you don't get the bad end of the stick?
I have a policy, or rather, I'm calling a policy in Pilo. But I've got like a policy of I don't ever want to but rather, let me approach it like this. This is that point where you go, you must acknowledge that you're weak. How can an artist wanna try build a system that literally feeds them, you know, and when do they become an artist? You know, these things are built by lawyers, these things are built by corporate, these things are built by by private enterprises that have the vision. I- it's not an artist's job to build these things, you know. So this is where you acknowledge that actually we weak. There's no industry here. It's just a bunch of black people that can make music and can make some money, but there's no structure, you know. So already, even the music industry, if I go historically, how the music industry was created, it was created to like similar to how the streaming platforms and everything else is done. Africa is just a further distribution play, like corner. It's still the Jan van Riebeck mentality, you know. It's like Africa's here so we can literally like bring spices, take spices. It's still that, you know. So music and the recording industry wasn't built to help South African artists. It was built to um, push like global artists, you know, but they couldn't do it remotely, so they had to come to our land, and then by virtue they picked up local artists. So when you look at like the societies in America, when you look at how the industry's been built, when you look at the investment in the arts, you know, we are the country that creates amapiano, that creates trap music, that creates what they call kwaito, which now has become trap music. We're the guys that create Afro pop. We're the guys that literally like create like Mtswako. But like the first three are the ones that go to the world, you know, and we're the only one that don't have the whole infrastructure to fully capitalize on it because we don't have a proper industry, you know. So already when artists are sitting there, artists are complaining about the money they're not getting that they know, you know, because of what the industry has been built as. They're not literally talking about like the money they can get that artists literally get when there's a structure. Do you understand? So already what they're crying for is something that was already broken. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So in that sense, you know, when you get into this industry, you gotta walk in this industry knowing that you're coming into a broken industry, you know, and you're not coming, and like I said, you will make money because the tree still does make money, you know, but but the truth of the matter is that it's still broken, you know. So we literally like confuse money as money, making money as a system, which kind of goes back to that thing I was saying. So the problem, and once again I say we're probably asking the wrong questions. The right question is like, how do we start building a system for African creatives, you know, because we might not be the one that benefited off it, you know, fully, but we can still live off the tree. But how do we plant the seed for like an African industry, which as these global streaming platforms come in, that's the more we be jumping on new trees, you know. We jump into new trees, we jumping into new trees. Where's the seed? You know? So there's nothing to tell an artist except the fact that know where you are in the ecosystem of things globally, and you're on the tree, you know, so that's the
Hmm.
thing.
That's so freezily food.
You can create a piano. There's a difference between creativity and it's creating. Can you hear me? Can you
Yeah,
hear me now?
yeah, I can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So I think it boils down to that thing of black people. I was in in a little workshop day, and someone asked, "How do you manage publishing and this?" And I said, "Here's the reality in this industry: they don't put money in advance for you to be able, if you even if you have a track record, they don't put money in advance for you to go, hey, i.e. Blackie's manager, here's money for the next artist that comes up. Literally, as an example, Blackie's man, and I'm using it as an example, Blackie's managers progress and investment is based on how well the artist does. There's never money that literally like is put like any fund where like when you're building a business, you get funded so you can get your before you even make the profit. So this is the only industry that the artist has to work hard for themselves. And once they've worked hard for themselves, then what's going to happen is that they'll probably make the money, and then they can start thinking about everything else that comes with that. And and pretty much that's what it is. And by the time some of these artists have made the money, they get used to that money, and they and 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 they make a living off it. And when that money goes, it's like, oh shit, we fucked. Then the government goes, how do we pay these guys? Because they don't have like bank accounts, they don't have this, they don't, because the system wasn't right from the get-go, even when they were making money. So
Wow.
we consistently living off broken systems. We consistently living off broken systems. Yabo, it's like imoto my drive, and it's like, and it's smoking. Izofika, angithi, izofika, but it's still a broken car. And
Yeah.
the majority of black things, the majority of a lot of black things, literally like are broken systems, including the
Mm.
creative industry. It's a broken system. You think that like the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the things of the world. Do you think that their system in their countries it's broken as it is over here? They building on top of like strong industry structures already. So all
Sure.
these groups were, so for me, I don't really engage in these groups because we keep asking the wrong questions. The
Mm.
system is broken anyway. It's bound to fail. Even when you're making money, it's bound to fail.
Mm.
You know. So when it collapses all in one, then you can all come together in a group or whatever the case being. Other people are doing their things because there's so many ways. It's bound to fail. It's a broken system.
Mm.
And it's unfortunate. So what you have a bunch of black people clamoring around a broken system because that's the system they understand. They literally make that system the system, and you from an outsider, you go, oh, so the music industry, but that's not even the industry because it's broken you know
Mm.
so I mean, yeah, so to answer that question, um we got work to do to build a system, to build an industry from a seed. And if not, the artists are going to be saying the same shit in the next 20, 30 years. you know
Mm. Mm.
Shit
Mm.
don't stop. It's the same principle of us going, brands should be working with us, this transformation, representation. But what the problem with black people is that there's no seeds. There's a great constitution, but there's no seed for
Mm.
anything or most things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. The light is though we're starting to see guys who are planting the seeds. When you talk about a business that turns 500 million just selling shoes. Talk about
Yeah.
legends that's got so many like outlets across the country, who taking like the creativity of cutting people's hair and like really like commercializing it the way they're commercializing it. We're starting to
Yeah.
see the seeds. 10 years ago, you only 15 years ago, you only had Lokshin culture. You only had Lokshin culture, and even then, Lokshin culture was going through an agent, or was going through. The world wasn't ready for them to go and go open their own stores, but they were still the leaders of what they were doing 15 years ago. So the world gets better. As the world gets better, we also get better. So we're seeing the change, and we're seeing the guys that are planting the seed, and most of them come from nothing. They don't come from any political connections. This is guys who literally like are coming from nothing, you know. So it's all of
mm,
us that come from nothing that are going to make a difference. It's not the guys that we expect, that the guys who were able to fight the struggle and their children, there's a difference. Yeah, wanna. That's why even when you go, when you're watching movies, there's always the guy that thinks, and there's always the guy that's gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean? And they're a duo. So the guy
yeah,
that's like the thinker, literally, like
yeah,
is I mean, what is it? Like, X-Men is a whole thing about that, where you got like the professor who's always on the wheelchair thinking, and everybody else is fucking people up. You know what I mean? All the other X-Men are fucking people up and seeing through walls and all those other shits. You know what I mean?
oh,
So we out here and we got the X-Men who fought for the struggle. Now we want the X-Men to think about how to build a company also, but all they do is fuck shit up,
yeah, yeah,
and they fight for freedom. And that's what they do. They are fighters of freedom. So where's the
oh,
professor now when it's time now to build the economy? you know
yeah,
but because
yeah,
we can't downplay the fighters. But like now we need more the professor now needs to be doing more professing instead of teaching
mm,
people how to fight. He needs to start training the scientists. So the problem
mm,
with us is Shayama X-Men afanayo from the political struggle right down to even manje economy. Yabo?
mm,
It's
mm,
better my X-Men nje. I don't care what politician, any political party that you're gonna name, call ama
yeah,
fighter nje. Call abo Wolverine, nabo Incredible Hulk, abantu abanama superpower, but
yeah, for sure.
not thinking of building the economy.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Hey, no, let me not keep you away from your sample. I think before we call it a night, what what should we expect from you in terms of what's next? Maybe this is the time just to share makaba in terms of the current work that you have on your table.
Going back to the music thing and going back to the seed thing, I took, I made a decision on what I want to do, um, with the money that I was blessed to make, or I'm blessed to have made. And I was like, I could have put it outside what I do, but I
Mm,
said I'm gonna put it back into what I do so I can like really plant a seed of what I really want to do with music.
no,
Really want to do with content. I mean, a part of it I told you about it. Um,
yeah,
and I've been putting I've been developing some tech to make the music, to organize the music industry from a music licensing perspective, accessing artists for bookings, buying media with music, and working with artists. So I'm building something that will give consumers, brands, promoters that access. I'm building something that's going to allow creatives to start calling their own price on the content that they create, whether instead of just posting it for free, or and waiting for an algorithm to say that you get this. If they know they got a fan base that will pay that 60 rand just for them, I'm building something like that where brands can also
yeah,
do partnerships with brands with creatives for exclusive content. I'm
mm,
building a pool of service providers to serve that, and also we'll be distributing like music on every streaming platform, which we've already started doing. I think I'm excited. We might have our first gold artist, and we haven't even launched. Um,
no,
so I'm basically building a creatives ecosystem, and
sure,
that business can access for everything that they're looking for in one place and organize it.
yeah,
And obviously it's taking learnings from a lot of things that have happened globally, but I know what the needs are in Africa, so I'm building
yeah,
it with the view of how to fix those things in Africa for African, even global businesses that are in Africa, and just even like just creatives that are in Africa. So that's currently what I'm working on, and and it's just the seed, it's the seed. And I believe, I always say, the guy from Hennessy, literally, like, in this one life, the guy who created Hennessy, in this one life, I've run more circles. I've run circles around him simply because of the time that I was born, with his technology, where I can reach out to you and reach out to anyone in the world. Yeah, now he probably
Sure.
was selling Hennessy in one place. Like, so I've run circles around him in one lifetime. But in the lives though he's lived, he's run circles around me, because Hennessy's been around for 400 or 500 years, as an example. So he's lived like almost like 500 years, and he's run circles around me. So even when I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking, how do we channel our lives and multiply it? And I know they say we don't die, we multiply, but as they say it loosely, but it's a real thing. How do we channel our ideas so
Mm,
they can be multiplied? And that's the seed to a tree, thinking, and where people build even when you're gone. So that's pretty
mm,
much my thinking, and the thing that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build something that is always going to be helpful for the creative, and that could literally exist even in the world. um,
yeah.
and it will have a life of its own beyond me. And that's really where I'm at. We I always ask myself, why do all these super rich people move from now wanting to save whales, wanting, because you kind of move from channeling um current success to future success, and I realize it's not even about
Mm,
money, because it's not like I own like a Coca-Cola, and I'm like now trying to go give money to WWF or give this. But it's a level of growth you get to, where you realize that now you got to save the future, and
mm,
it's the work that you do today that literally will save the future. It's the ideas that you chase today that like will save the future, or will make the future a little bit better, and the future will literally also modify it and grow it. So
yeah.
so my thinking right now, I'm channeling solutions for the future today, by focusing on what the problem is today, but the thing will be able to stretch to beyond my life. And I think if we could all start thinking like that, because
Yeah.
I've always want, like I said, I've always, why are we looking but busy? Basave ama-whales, basave ihlahla, like thina sihluphekile. It's because they move, those are the things that they grew up around. They probably went to the ocean when they were kids, and
Mm,
they never grew up in a shack, or they probably went to the ocean as kids, and now they're super wealthy. They're like, yo, I want my kids to see the whales too. And I'm like, I want musicians and future musicians to be in an organized space where business can engage with them, and they can and they can see the transparency of the engagement of their content, and they can set their own prices. I want to do that. I want the future of musicians to do that, because I grew up around musicians, and when I was alive, that's what kept me ticking. So
so,
I'm literally like, um I'm fixing the future, and that's the only way I could literally like say what I'm doing today is that I'm fixing the future that's beyond my life.
wow, that's really powerful. We can't wait to see it. Without putting any pressure on you, do you have any timelines that you can say by end of June? No.
I might
Yeah.
let's just say like a part of it probably maybe like end of July. I mean, we'll
Okay.
do the first phase. That will be the one that could have some glitches because it's technology. And then,
Yeah.
we'll hear people basithuka because, siyanazi abantu abamnyama manifuna ukusibona sihleka nizosithuka. So we're gonna take that as fuel to go fix our shit. So maybe the first version will be there, but we've been testing the distribution for the past year or so, but all the other things maybe end of July, and I'm excited about it because it's exactly that. And I'm putting it out in the universe. I'm channeling the future. I'm fixing the future, and from an African perspective, they might bias in the world one day. That's still okay. But as long as I know that like an artist will never go through what my problems have to be so old. Ah man, yeah, you
Mm,
going through that? That's some 2022 shit, man. Fuck that. That's what we got to do. We got to fix the future.
yeah,
That's what
lovely,
I've put
lovely.
my. That's what the rest of my life is gonna be about. That about fixing the future. I mean, I'm 41 now. I don't know when I'm gonna die, but I'm
Yeah,
dedicating my life to fixing the future in music and creativity.
nice, nice. No, nice one. But so Milungize put in Zoom in 43. Cool. Yeah, thanks for your time. This was great. I'll send you the link in a few minutes so that you have it on your side. Um,
Yes, indeed.
but looking forward to what the future has and doing the work, man. Our kids can't be having these conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's never forget that like Slanyisa ihlahla. Now
Hey,
imagine
no,
when I say we get excited by the trees. They're exciting, they'll fool you.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's time for us to
yeah,
start thinking like we gotta plant the seeds.
yeah, for sure. No, man, thanks. Otherwise, have a good evening. Again, thanks to your family for
Black Sunshine, that's the
going hard.
Black Sunshine, that's the name of the group. Go Google. Go
How,
Google the group. Go Google the song Black Sunshine.
as
It's,
in
it's spelled
or BLK? Yeah,
BLK,
yeah.
yeah, space SonShine.
Are you talking about those guys who never know?
Yes,
I love
yes.
those guys.
We
Big
go from
Sunshine. Or are you working
yeah,
with
we
them?
go from sea to tree. No, I'm saying
Oh,
that's the line I've
yeah,
been quoting. We go from sea to
Black.
tree. Me and my people building.
Yeah, damn. I hope. Yeah, man. I used to have Leo CD artist up here somewhere. Wow. Okay. Thanks for reminding me of that. I
Yeah,
understand. Thanks
that's
for that. Thanks, man. Anyway, have a,
We go from sea to tree. Me and my people building.
yeah.
Thank you,
But check.
man. Take care, yeah.
Thanks. You too,
Sure.
man. Later,
Peace,
sharp,
man.
man.
Sure.
Thanks for checking us out. Until next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Peace.